at any given moment. I didn't mean to read like this, but this is twice in a row, so hopefully we'll do better than you did last time. Sitters are tough to find after Labor Day, I guess. But this is Carlin. Say hi, Carlin. I do have a couple of really short stories, and one is actually about him, so I guess it's a little bit appropriate. It's a good thing this is Jay Slam night, otherwise he would be a major prop violation.
An adorable one.
Oh, okay. We're going to rely on the fear to keep you staying.
I mean, if everyone had access to your baby, though, it wouldn't be a prop violation.
No, that is true.
Yes.
And everybody does, please. If he does get loose, feel free to plug all of the outlets in the room. I'll leave it up to all of you. I didn't want to write a story like this. Everybody writes, every new father has the treatise on new fatherhood, and there's really nothing new to say, and I resisted this for so long. So this is what you get when I haven't written anything new for a while, and this has been on my mind. Mr. Noodle and I have issues. The fact that I have to watch him is one. Mr. Noodle is, or was, in the infinite loop of reruns I am forced to play, a character on Sesame Street. Sesame Street, in general, is a daily harbinger of the teenage disdain that I will one day be forced to endure. No matter how much Gogol Bordello I force my one-year-old son to listen to, no matter how many retro t-shirts he wipes his nose on, this is the only thing that hypnotizes him enough to make breakfast tolerable. Not Rick and Morty, not Adventure Time, or even Yo Gabba Gabba. Sesame Street. Dads of the world, stop trying to be cool. Your old school will never be old enough, and the new shit will always smell funny. More specifically, Mr. Noodle is a character in that particular wormhole of Sesame Street known as Elmo's world. Now, as far as Elmo cares to show us, Mr. Noodle lives right outside Elmo's window. Unlike Elmo, he's a fully grown human with no obvious strings. He wears a green vest and a bow tie bigger than his head. He never speaks. He doesn't dare. Whenever Elmo or his pet goldfish have a question about the subject of that day's episode, the first stage of the experiment is always to ask Mr. Noodle. I wonder how you pretend to ride a horse, Elmo will say. Let's ask Mr. Noodle. The shade will go up with a slapstick flourish, and there Mr. Noodle will be, as eager to help as he is completely fucking useless. If the task is bedtime, it will take this guy 4 tries before he is able to get parallel to the mattress, much less under the covers. When asked to sing, Mr. Noodle will run through a selection of animal noises. No, Mr. Noodle, a disembodied chorus of children shouts, that's not how you take a bath. My son just stares and bounces slightly in his chair, opening his mouth robotically as I offer up a spoonful of oatmeal. On the rest of Sesame Street, the non-furry grown-ups are grown-ups. They may not be the parents of these weird, impulsive puppets, but they certainly act like it. They help out. They console. And even when they don't have the answers, they encourage scamps like Elmo to figure out the problem. Which, as far as I can tell, Elmo unconsciously resents like crazy. Because in the Crayola sanctity of Elmo's world, which is really Elmo's imagination, the only adult he chooses to interact with is a complete dipshit. So of course this is my son's favorite part of the show. For this kindred spirit of pure ego, Elmo's pimp hand is a lot more funny than his tickle finger. Just like the fact that he plays with his nuts during bath time, it's completely natural. And it still freaks me out. Just a little. Alright? Otherwise, things are pretty good. My wife and I are both giddy and terrified that he will soon learn to talk. Language is one virus there isn't much vaccination for, no matter how many hours he spends in front of the TV. Me, I can wait. He's got the cadence of conversation down, but not the speech. He's basically a small, drunk foreigner who is continually asking which way to the restaurant or the titty bar. And I love the idea that, for the moment, this is a language that belongs only to him. Pegugu quoi? He says, always with that lilt on the end, always a question. It's bad enough that he's picked up that much. Yeah, I say, because I want to affirm that innocence, that nonsense. Bubba kagwa, he says. Yeah, I say. Yeah, he replies. Shit. It is getting harder for me not to curse in front of my child. It's something I always thought I did pretty well, but I know he will use these weapons in the worst possible way against all the wrong people. The primary thing all parents, all adults really, want out of kids is respect, even before they've learned the word, much less the complicated concept behind it. All they are is questions, and we demand that they aim them at the right things at the right time or have none at all. It's weird the things you look for without knowing what they look like. I know when my son is happy. I know when he's sad. Respect, I could not Photoshop onto his face if I tried. All I know is that if I point to a cat or spell out the word, the lesson plan only goes so far. Too much TV, perhaps. He's waiting for the soundtrack to kick in, and the only joke he needs before a punchline is that look on my face. The one where my eyebrows go up and the clown mask goes on. That visual opposite of no. And when I flip onto my back, meowing and batting at invisible balls, I can only assume what he's thinking in a language that will soon be lost. Look at this jackass. These big dumb beasts. They have so much to learn. Thank you. All right, I'm almost out of snacky snacks, so I'm going to take a risk and let him down for this one. This is an older one. It's called Night Job. It is about the first job I ever had in Orlando. Okay, all right, maybe not. Okay, come on up. Yeah, you all right? All right.
Sucker.
Don't always Greetings, travelers, and welcome to Terror on Church Street. Your journey is about to begin. If you hope to survive, listen closely. Within these walls, we have 4 simple rules. 1. You will notice it is very dim inside. They like it that way. Lighters, flashlights, or lights of any kind are forbidden. They won't help you find us, and they'll only make it easier for us to find you. My first job in the city was a year-round haunted house, back in the days when you could still pull that off downtown. $7 an hour, 20 hours a week, and no insurance, despite the fact that you were paid to jump out in front of macho Brazilian tourists and let them take a swing at you. Sometimes you ducked, and sometimes you didn't. And you watched their big-ass girlfriends squeal and sway into the darkness, calling over their shoulder, "I love you, Freddy Krueger!" 7 years in community theater, playing every virgin pussy in the Neil Simon catalog, and now this. 2. No photography or videotaping will be permitted inside the attraction. The horrors within are for your eyes only. For my orientation, they locked me in a cage on the 2nd floor and told me to scream for help. No one ever helped. Mom and Dad would point and laugh, and their 9-year-old kids would spit on me. And while they were doing that, Gary would rise up behind them. He would come, quiet as a butterfly on 10-inch platform boots, blood streaming down his face from the spikes of broken glass, get within whispering distance, and roar! The sight of the happy family pinballing off the walls, mother cursing in the father's ear, little sister screaming, "I want to go home!" This is how the barber feels when he hands back the mirror and sees a smile. Mostly, we were not actors. Stoners, makeup artists, college sophomores, goths who could actually pull off the look, stoners. We played cards between groups, fooled around on the exorcist bed, and knew all the secret places to smoke. Tish, the gift shop girl, would bring her 4-year-old daughter upstairs on breaks to bounce on Hannibal Lecter's knee, while Dracula taught her jive handshakes. Sometimes I wonder what kind of monsters were under her bed, or if she had any at all. 3. Once inside the attraction, do not stop. You're a sitting duck. Do not run. We will catch you. Do not turn back. You won't make it. We made it 8 years. On the last night, the gift shop was filled with off-the-clock zombies hugging the vampires, scarecrows exchanging knowing glances with the gargoyles. Michelle spent an hour on her evil clown makeup, and by 8 o'clock you could see her blushing cheeks in tunnels of tears through the grease paint. She had never looked more terrifying. At the ticket booth, people paid their $10, asked what was inside, and we told them the future one last time. "Here's the deal," the ticket taker said. "You are going to die. On the way, there will be surprises. Enjoy them. Those are what you pay for. In the meantime, hold on tight to each other and try not to hurt anybody. That's our job. At 1 a.m., the psycho revved up his chainsaw and chased the final group out into the street, the girls hugging their boys for dear, dear life. We locked the doors behind them and sang karaoke in the graveyard. 4. Do not let fear or curiosity get the better of you. Do not touch anyone or anything you see, and they will not touch you. They tore the place down a long time ago, and they put up a restaurant complex under 20 stories of office space, with a parking garage more complicated than any maze we had. People in seasonal ties or sensible heels can grab a coffee downstairs and scurry on up for the 10 o'clock. I look up there, and I'll joke about putting on some zombie makeup one day, finding a nice bathroom stall to hole up in, seeing how many casual Friday dockers I can brown out. I wonder if they scare easy, or if they scare like most of us, walking around like a moment before the horror movie violins kick in, missing those days when they knew the boogeyman was real, but they knew where he lived. Do they look out from the corner office down there on the street and wonder if they finally got away from him way up here? I wonder if they know it's haunted. Thanks.